terms of like who E-Class is or who Eric is, right? You know, I'm number one, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a man of God, I'm Margaret Brown's son, and I'm just a guy that really, really is passionate about people, and I'm really passionate about being being a good man to my family, being a great provider. You know, those are the things that really drive me and they really push me to be successful in the things that I'm doing, whether it's in business, whether it's somebody that I meet on the street. You know, that part of me is really what encapsulates what E-Class is all about. I can't tell you where I got the name from because I really don't know, but it might be part of just my first name and, you know, or this great car that we know, this Mercedes-Benz that is just one of the top cars in Britain, but, you know, it just worked. And I just believe that everything that has happened to me so far, from the name E-Class to the business, is just it's all divine. It's just, you know what I mean? Because a lot of it, I just really just don't remember, but what I do know is that everything is good, you know? So, E-Class is just a good man, a humble good man. That's who E-Class is.
What's up, Eric, man? Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Here, man.
And I'm glad that your wife came along.
Yeah,
That's cool.
absolutely.
We're surprised to see that, but man, we're
Glad you
so
did
glad.
better, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
At first I was like, well, maybe she can sit out, and then just like, no, like you're with me.
No.
I'm sure y'all didn't do any of this by yourself. Like this is all together.
No. It's all together. You know.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I was so busy with everything going on, I was like, oh man, I forgot to tell my wife about it. We met about a month ago.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
Right? So I said, oh, let me let my wife know. And then I thought about it. I said, no, my wife needs to be here also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just, you know, just go through some experience, because none of this has happened without the support of my wife. You know what I mean? And it's been a roll, but you know,
Man.
we're here, man.
Well, that's beautiful. So like, I mean, you know, what's your story? Like, you know, you can go back as far as you want. What's your story?
Well, you know, I'm a grassroots guy. You know, I'm a kid from Long Island City. Yeah, I'm a kid from Long Island City, Queensbridge projects. You know, that story. You know, of that kid growing up in a tough environment. But I was fortunate to have really great, you know, really good parents. You know what I mean? Conservative, you know, upbringing.
Yeah.
You know, in a tough neighborhood, and you know, hey, you get to school, you know, and you go outside, and when that light comes on, you know, 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock, it's time to get upstairs. You know.
Yeah.
Dinner was always there, always prepared. So those are the things that grounded me in a very tough environment. Now, although it was a tough environment, there were really good, hardworking people there also. But, you know, everybody was, most people were 9 to 5s, and most people needed
working class.
Yes. You know what
Just everybody trying to make it.
And then you had, you know, some that was just unfortunate or just made decisions that weren't good. You know what I mean? And it affected their environment. Yeah. So. But that's where I come from.
Yeah. So New York, and then like school. How did all that transpire? You went to school. What did it look like in school, and then afterwards, and you know, ultimately just trying to get to where you are now? Because we talked about it like offline, like nothing in life is linear, and so what did it look like when you were in high school, and then after that? And
Well, I actually started cutting hair when I was like 14 years old.
Okay.
Right. So my uncle.
So you've been doing this for a minute.
For a long time,
okay.
Right? Obviously, I wasn't licensed, but my uncle wasn't doing too well. He was sick with cancer, so he couldn't really trim himself the way up and clean himself up like he used to. So my aunt would call me over and say, "Hey, would you come and cut your uncle's hair and shave his beard?" He had some old clippers there, and I would shave him up and take care of him. And then I don't know. I really believe that it was like God's way of saying, hey, this is your gift, because I found a love in it, right? And I liking it first and then a love in it. I started to trim my brother's hair up. You know, he's like, I need a haircut. I'm like, I could do it for you.
Yeah.
Actually, didn't do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
It actually wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Next thing you know, I mean, as time goes on, I was cutting the guys in the building, cutting guys in the neighborhood. And when I was about 15, 16, I'm cutting guys at the high school.
So just hustling since day one.
That's the way,
okay.
that's the way it started for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then, you know, that led me to actually kind of start raising my family and stuff. You know, my first son, he was when I was 19 years old.
Okay.
But I was cutting hair, and at that
You gotta
time,
do what you gotta do.
You know, it was a hustle. At the time, I didn't have the business mind of it. At the time, it was just like, hey, I'm gonna make $100 a day. All right, I can get diapers, I can get, milk, and I can get all the things that he needs and stuff like that, and buy whatever I want. But that's because I was a young kid.
Yeah.
You know, but then as time rolls on, I actually kind of got away from it. You know, I started working, doing odd jobs here and there, and then I got into the childcare business. You know what I mean? And that's actually where I met my wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So cue the child business, and then what was that?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Wow.
That was
tough,
in
right?
the trenches. We were working in Syosset, New York, in Long Island,
Yeah.
at a facility called St. Mary's,
Yeah.
and it's for children of need.
Yeah, children in need.
Okay.
Tough kids.
Tough kids.
Yeah.
Juveniles.
Tough upbringings. You know what I mean? Not the best home situation.
Yeah, I can relate. My
Yeah.
wife's a special education teacher,
Okay.
and it kind of all that kind of flows
All that
Yes.
flows in with it, so I can understand where you guys are coming from. Okay.
Yeah. And my husband was his responsibility was through the crisis team. So he's the guy that comes in the units when there's when there's trouble, to de-escalate, when there's AWOLs. I've seen him running across track many a times in pursuit of kids who were just like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
But even in that setting, right, I found a way to. I was even cutting the kids' hair then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it
Well,
just
and
never
you
got
just
away
you just show love and compassion, and if you give them time, and it's about them, and
that was another strategy for me, because when we used to get some tough, when the kids came in to the facility, they would come to my department first, right? We would kind of get them all set and ready to go over to the units where my wife worked. And one of the icebreakers for me was like, when they came in, a lot of times they were coming from maybe prison, or was coming from jail, or coming from, and they wanted clean, they didn't have haircuts. I said, you know what?
Boom.
A haircut always makes a person feel good, stuff like that. So I'm saying, hey man, before you go to the unit or whatever you're gonna send you, let me give you a haircut.
Yeah.
And I'll trim them all, make them feel good. Icebreaker, right? And they always remember that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's the small things, and I guess what I'm like taking away from that is like, you haven't even mentioned like the formalities of like what you have to do in that position for your job. It's not like, oh, they have to check these boxes to make sure that it's like, no, like let's come at it from a different angle. Like let me be creative. And I think I feel that people just starve for that just personal connection.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then you get that leverage later on, it becomes like even deeper. It's like sowing a seed that's going to, produce itself over and over. Because now if there's an issue in the unit, right, and I say I'm calling Mr. E, he comes over, he's already worked on building the rapport, right? So it's like, hey, remember?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which I don't have to do much of that in her unit, because my wife is also, she's many things, but she's also a teacher.
Yeah.
Also, right?
Okay.
She teaches teachers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So she has a really great skill, with people, with young people. I mean, absolutely. I've never seen any person that has the effect on young people and children the way she does. So it's a major, major, major gift that my wife has, and amongst many.
Yeah.
But she knows how I feel about it.
Man.
That to me is like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So y'all met at the what was the place called? St.
Mary's.
St. Mary's. Okay.
Children's Family.
And then what was your role there?
Oh, I was working in the unit as a child care staff.
Okay.
Very intimidating because it's an all boys facility. So you already know the challenges with that.
And ages.
Ages from anywhere from I think 12 or 8 maybe to
It's about 18.
Okay.
And she was in one of the tougher units, what we call the JD units.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you have
that's-
some mental health issues in there
Oh.
and stuff like that too. So, but they loved it. I mean, it didn't take long. You know what I mean? They really loved it. But you know,
It took some time.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
with the support of like having other male figures there.
right.
Obviously, it makes the job easier. But they were able to view me as like an extension of family.
Right.
You know, so it was just like, hey, you know, it may start off with words and then eventually it just a look, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
get it
They
in line.
well, it's you've built that, like you said, rapport and that bond, and it's like
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of like the 1, 2, 3. Like,
Yeah.
all right, you stop when before I say 3. Like,
Exactly.
you know,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
that's not easy, especially you know, just kids from the wild coming in and having zero structure.
Exactly.
You know, and that's their constant. They're just always doing whatever they want to do, but then
Yeah.
meeting somebody for them to respect and listen to, that's huge.
I
Okay.
work for it.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh.
a lot of nurturing. They just really want love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want that. They
Yeah,
want the structure.
that's what I'm saying. Simple as a haircut,
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
and attention. Just
That's it.
give
Those
them a
things
little
I
bit of
want,
that.
That we want
Right,
as adults,
right. They're
I need structure.
they're no different.
Yeah.
No different.
And if you can not look at, you know, all the things that their, you know, report says or their
Yes.
list, it's
Yeah.
like,
That's
forget
right.
about all that. Yeah, you're hard and you've done these things, but
Right.
that's not
No.
really who you are
That's
to the
right.
core when
That's
we get
right.
down to it.
Absolutely.
Is it-
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Interesting.
definitely challenges, but
Right. Right.
it was the nature of, you know, where we were.
Yeah.
And we've seen
Okay.
a lot of kids go and come through the system, and a lot of great success stories, obviously, and some of them even still keep in contact with my husband. You know,
Man,
just
that
to
is
check in, and
huge.
their lives have
Yeah.
totally transformed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That is huge.
It's really a blessing because I really, again, coming from the environment that I came from, right, and some of the things in the environment, I'll put it like that, and some of the things the challenges that I've had, you know what I mean, growing up in that environment, you got to walk to school. You know, I see the kids, they get on the bus and all that. Sometimes I laugh. I tell my wife, I said, no, I walk to school everywhere. Only place I took the train to school was when I went to high school, maybe. But I walked to school from elementary all the way through junior high school.
That builds character.
You know what
I mean,
at
it
least-
builds.
Yeah, and I'm talking about at least 2 miles. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
You know, through the city streets, like, and through there, it was sometimes it was a wall. You know what I mean? And that you had to walk through. So I really connect with the young people and the young guys, and even now, a big portion of my clientele, you know, in my business are younger men. You know what
Okay.
I mean? So when I say younger men, you know, 30, you know, on up. You know,
Yeah.
I'm 50 years old.
Okay,
So,
okay.
You know, that's young to me.
Yeah, yeah, I
And,
get you.
And there's some struggles there. There's some things that, I mean, great guys to the core, but they're all there. I see myself in a lot of them. So, you know, I pride myself on saying, hey, man, this is a safe place. This is a place where you can come, that word, right? Safe place. But this is a place where you can come and, hey, man, just be yourself. You know, you can be honest. And we can talk about some of these things and these issues that you're going through, some of these emotions
Man,
that you're dealing
yeah,
with.
I mean, hairstylists are like, that's where all the tea is.
Yeah.
That's straight up where all the tea is.
Right. And it stays right there. You know what I mean? It stays right there, you know what I mean? I'm not all over the place with it. And but it ties into, hey, feeling good and, you know, being pampered and, you know what I mean? Somebody's, you know, that somebody cares, you know what I mean? It's all, that's why I always say, like, cutting hair is not just about like a fresh haircut or a line. It's really an experience. That's the experience. I hear a lot of barbers talk about, oh, this experience, this is how time. No, it's so much more.
Yeah.
It's the people. Like, you know, one of I'm going to give him some credit. One of my really good friends, Greg, he's a barber out in Brooklyn. He told me one day, he said, man, make sure you're not just cutting the hair, cut the person. And I said, yo, wow.
Yeah.
Remember I told you that?
That's powerful.
And I was like,
That's
I got it.
okay.
You know what I mean? And that
Okay.
helped me See, because I was posting all these pictures and all that, and he's like, man,
Okay.
he always tell me, man, you do great work. He was actually a barber that I looked up to. We went to high school together, and he was the
We
guy.
never make it alone. We
No.
we never do it
Never
alone.
do it alone.
You know.
I used to watch him and another guy that we played on the basketball team together, and they used to bring in clippers in and cut the school safety guys. And I used to be sitting there watching. I can cut hair, but I'm like, man, these guys are a world, man. These guys are. But I was like, one day, now I'm doing it, and you know, when he texted me and told me that, I was like, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm trying to make sure that I put people
Yeah.
over profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
No,
my wife.
yeah, no, I agree, and it, you know, I feel like, you know, just anecdotally, I've talked to a lot of business owners and been around the block, and it seems that they want to preach that, or that they want to say that, and it's like, well, but do you really live by it?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it sounds like, man, you truly do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's super
That's
cool.
That's very important.
Dang.
Very
Okay, so then y'all met at the
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's,
Uh-huh.
and then what after that? Like, what does that look like?
Oh man, that looks like again we were at this point, even though barbering was still very much tied to him, right? When you're doing what you need to do to survive and to make ends meet and to make sure you're taking care of your family, of course. We upstate was a place that we had visited frequently. My favorite aunt lived here, and so, you know, just to get away from the city, sometimes we just come up and kind of stay the weekend and get ready to go home, and we were like, oh, we're not ready yet, you know?
Yeah.
And just, you know,
And
again,
this is back in 2005.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, 2004, 2005, we used to come back and forth and visit her aunt, our aunt.
Yeah.
I love her to death too, that's my aunt. She was still here. And, you know, we would come spend a week, you know, so, you know, when we had time at work, you know what I mean? And we just didn't want to leave, right? It was just different. You know, it was even a little different than it is now. It was
Yeah.
just,
Okay.
it wasn't as diverse. Well, it wasn't as populated, I would say that, right? And that's what it seemed. It just
Yeah.
seemed a lot more calm. More people had moved in and things. But it was just nice. People were nice. We came in the summertime a
Yeah.
lot too, so it was green.
Fullness of the
Oh,
summer.
It was
yeah.
just different than
Oh, I get.
the hustle and bustle of the other city.
Yeah.
So we eventually wound up moving on. Actually surprised and I got a place. It was an apartment at the time when we came up with it. I was like, babe, this is ours. And he was like,
Yeah.
wow.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So we wound up moving up, and you know, went through the workforce. My wife, you know, applied to a teaching job at Johnson City Middle
Yeah.
School actually.
Worked there for many years.
Yeah, got it, and she was there for many years, doing well. Kids loved her and everything, and you know, and then I was working back and forth. I was, you know, working at the state facilities, and it was just something that I was like, I'm not happy. I'm just not happy.
Yeah. Okay.
It weighs on you.
It weighs on
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I just wasn't happy.
Because it's not your true self. You're not being your true self.
I worked along Binghamton General for about 10 years as the security first, and then I worked in the crisis center. And I love the population because again, it's about people and things like that. But again, I was just like, I had enough.
Yeah,
So
right.
one day, where I'm in the mirror, and again, because we're talking, we're like, babe, we gotta change some things. You know, we might need some more income. So I'm in the mirror. I think I'm ashamed of myself, giving myself a trim. I'm like, babe, how are we gonna make some more money? How are we gonna do this? And she's in the mirror also because the bathroom is a pretty big bathroom and big mirror. She's doing some stuff for her makeup or whatever. And while I'm turning my hair, I stopped. And I was like, babe, what am I cut hair. Like, what am I, wait a minute. And just to make a long story short, within a couple of weeks, this small apartment that we were living in at the time, it was full of people, and I was cutting hair on the weekends and stuff like that. And it just grew. And it grew until my wife was like, okay, enough of this. Too many people in here. We gotta either get something bigger.
Yeah.
Or we gotta go in the barbershop.
Yeah.
Wind up getting something bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wound up getting something bigger, and a bigger space in the basement, and then that blossomed also. Then I started doing house calls, you know.
Barber in the box.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's like Uber. You know,
Yeah.
that's the Uber.
Yeah, and it just grew. The clientele grew. Again, a lot of these individuals I still cut now, you know, and they're my brothers, you know, they're
Yeah.
family, like,
They're
you know what I
family.
mean? They're like family. And, and then I started working in the barbershop, not
You
too far
forgot
from
school.
where I am. Oh,
Okay, so
Okay.
he's leaving out the good
Okay,
part.
all right,
Wow.
all right, hold up. Yeah,
So
let's.
while he was currently still employed, he attended school in, I want to say, is it Ithaca?
in Ithaca.
Ithaca.
Right.
So
Okay.
I don't even know when he slept.
Yeah.
Literally, it was work
Son.
overnight,
Yeah.
school during the day,
Yeah.
back home for a couple of hours maybe,
Right.
maybe sleep. I like not
Yeah.
and just
Because
again at work
yeah.
and it just on repeat.
Just-
repeat.
For
Yeah.
about 9 months straight, because I hadn't had my license yet, and that was the only thing I needed. I procrastinated a lot of years for that.
Yeah.
Because times were different, you know. You can cut hair, barbershop, you ain't even nobody was bothering.
Yeah, nobody's trying to ask, nobody's trying to.
Yeah, after 9/11, a lot of things have been cracked down on that. So I was like, hey, and if I want people to really take me serious, if I want businesses to take, if I want banks to take me serious, I'm gonna have to go get my license.
Yeah.
You know, but things change a lot. So now you can get your license. You can go to school and so you can prepare to take your license in 3 months now. Before
Okay,
it was
okay.
like 2 years. It was barber college. It was all of this.
So it's almost like they, glad that they made it a little easier to get
Yeah.
into. So it's
Yeah.
like people want to do it and you're kind of pushing them away, but
Right. Well,
Okay.
barbering is a big. This is probably one of the biggest industries in the world now. It's $1 billion, maybe more business
oh
now.
my goodness.
You know, I didn't know it was that huge when I actually got back into it. I know I had some clippers and things, but something told me, I said, let me go on YouTube and figure out what the barber world is doing now, right? We're talking back in 2012, 11, 12. And when I went on YouTube, I said, wait a minute. This is what the barber
He was
industry-
fascinated.
I was fascinated, right? Because I'm considered the OG barber.
Yeah,
I'm the
okay,
OG, you know
okay.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the younger guy, it was, but even some of the OGs on it was really doing some great things, and not so much of haircutting, but like the business part of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
You know what I mean? It was-
And that's something that you're saying that you evolved into being,
Involved
okay.
into that, not just like, okay, I'm cutting hair, and then, no, now this thing is a business.
Yeah.
One of the first people that I saw on YouTube, his name was Al's Millions. And I mean, he actually was the first one that came up from when I punched in. You know, barbers, and what are barbers doing? Al's Million, Tom Bernard, Aka Pro, these guys were doing some amazing things. And I was like, this is what I want to do, right? Because they were doing a lot of things on the service side. So I was like, this is how I can make myself, I can differentiate myself from what everybody else is doing. I can really focus on taking care of people.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I'm just hearing resourceful. Like you're just resourceful. Like
Extremely.
you got this. Cool. I can cut hair. That's like the biggest part. But then it's like, well, how do I get to that
Yeah.
next level?
Next level, right?
Okay.
He's a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is that
Okay.
he sets out to do or that he wants to accomplish, and he's a great visual learner.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
he's just and he's consistent. That's what I admire. His consistency
Yeah.
and willingness to go above and beyond for
Yeah.
the craft. It's
Okay.
like he takes it to heart.
Man, that's
It's not
huge.
just a cut to him. It's something for him to that he's very proud of. And very modest about, very humble.
Yeah, try to be humble.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely felt that like when I rolled up into the shop and man, I'm very glad that I went in there and, struck up a conversation.
Absolutely.
I was just I had no idea what to expect. I had no anticipation or idea of what you were going to say or even really what I was going to say, but I was just like, man, what's up?
Yeah.
This guy's doing it. He's got a shop, like, and then we just start, and then the more I talked to you, just like even within a few more minutes, I was like, you know what, really, this is something. So
Absolutely. Yeah, it was just so comfortable. I saw you walk across the street. First, I was like, "What? You expect this coming? They come out of nowhere.
Feel you.
You can't even wipe the dust off.
I feel you.
Off your station,
Yeah.
What I mean? You're like, oh man, it got me.
Okay.
But it was cool, and I felt good. I felt that energy. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this.
Man, that's good.
Yeah, let's do this. Yeah. And,
That was so cool.
I love to tell, the story. You know what I mean? I mean, it's so much more, and it's so much more that have. You know,
Yeah.
what I mean? To talk about and share with people, with couples. I mean, it's so many different, you know, areas that, you know, we can go. But, you know, yeah, you know, this is, and there's so much more that I want to do in terms of the industry.
Okay.
In terms of, you know, my business and expand out and different things where, you know, my wife can do things together. You know what I mean, within the business. You know what I mean. She gives me credit for being visual. I think my wife is more visual than visionary. Like she's creative. She's a lot more creative than me. A lot of times I'm like, babe, okay, what do you think about it? I'm always like, babe, what do you think? About this?
Yeah,
what do
run
you
it.
think about that? You know, I need and love to have that validation. You know what I mean? And
little constructive feedback, man. You know,
and stuff like that. It's like, babe, what do you think? You know what I mean? Because I'm that grinder. You know what I mean? My wife is really.
And a lot, you could just get your blinders on and you see it this way, and then she sees it from a totally different angle. Man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's how we're wired, right? You know, you and I, we just.
I mean,
women, they kind of like see it, they see a whole nother picture. You know what I mean?
Man.
You know.
And he allows me that freedom, you know, to be able to be constructive, because he's open about, you know, the things that he's thinking about. So I wouldn't be able to do that if he weren't consistently and, you know, inviting me.
And open to hear another, like, you know, some people get to where it's like, well, I'm the barber, I know, and you know what you say. Yeah, maybe I'll take it, but I'm not really listening, or I won't implement it. But thank you for the advice. But people who are truly comfortable with themselves, at least kind of what I found is like, and they really do want an outsider's perspective. They're confident enough in what they've done and themselves to be able to bring somebody else from the outside, no matter if it's your wife or somebody else. And to me, that takes a very strong person to be able to listen to somebody else and implement something.
That took some work.
And it's something that's learned. It's not something that you just have it because
I'm a little control freak a little bit when it comes to the business. I like things.
Why not? Why not be? You know.
But I understand now that that my wife can really see some things. You know what I mean? Even in the business or about my business. Right? When I say my business, our business.
Totally.
My business as a barber, like you can see, it's like there's some other things on the other side that I'm like, oh, how do you see that?
Yeah.
You know, over there that can really benefit the business, right? You know, and some of it has a lot to do with me just being old school and like I'm just kind of like an ABC guy, you know what I mean? But you know, she's forced me and is forcing me to, in a loving way, to take some chances, you know what I mean, and take some risks, you know, that I normally wouldn't. You know, I mean, hey, the thing is rolling good, let's go. But hey, there's some other things too.
That's beautiful.
You know what I mean? So.
Wow.
There's the upside of you know, being an entrepreneur, and then the downside is, you know, all the things you hear, you know, how businesses start and, you know, how they fail in a certain amount of time, and not realizing the amount of pressure that my husband had, you know, was eye-opening for me, you know, just to, he's not just getting up and going in and, you know, doing a couple of haircuts. Like the business side is like, okay, how do I stay, you know, here, and how do I not only stay, but how do I become even greater in my craft? How do I grow even more? So I think those, you know, those things and really looking at it through a different lens allowed me to say, no, you know, there's other ways I can be supportive, because this is what he loves to do. You know, this is the gift that God has given him. And he's, you know, has the ears of so many individuals, you know, so many stories that he's able to hear, and he doesn't take it lightly. You know?
I mean, and like we said earlier, and you know, we never go it alone. Like there's never, you know, it's all community. It's all you can never do it alone.
Absolutely.
And I think we're reaching that time, so I don't know how to. But so I guess we'll break. All right. I mean, great stuff. Like the personal side, very cool. Like let's hear about E-Class. Like what's next? I mean, you've been through the trenches. Y'all both built everything: school, overnight, sleepless nights, networking, figuring things out, learning lessons.
Yeah.
Like, what's next for E-Class?
Yeah. So I think E-Class, man, is I think we really gonna start. I think we're just gonna really double down on what the things that we're doing now, but just take it to a whole another level, right? There's expansion coming on. I'm looking at actually get a bigger size, get a bigger place where I can get more into training now. Training barbers, bringing new barbers on, or potential barbers on, and training them, and teaching them about like a system, the business side and the system.
I mean, that just goes back to the people and just
right.
building them up, teaching them what you knew.
Yeah. So to not have the mindset of just this, haircut barber, nice shape up, nice line, and nice that. No, how could you utilize it so you can really now create more businesses, create business for yourself. And the bonus is obviously you give amazing work, right? Do amazing work and make people feel good. To invest in the people, you know what I mean, even more. So expansion, I think, is a major thing right now for
huge.
You know what I mean?
Huge.
And not just in this region. If God willing, we're looking into a different state as well.
Okay.
And E-Class there is also. We really got our sights on Florida.
Oh, yeah. Who wouldn't from like upstate New York, right? Like who wouldn't want to try to get down there?
Right. So we really would like to take that and and take it to another state and really grow it there as well.
Okay.
I want to bring some more equipment in. I want to really I'm learning some really great things that can really help people with some issues that they're having with hair, scalp, skin, all those different things, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm really getting ready, take it up a notch.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
Like 21st century grooming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a rebrand. I mean, kind of just a rebrand. Yeah. And so how many chairs do you have right now?
So right now we're small. I started off. It was initially supposed to be just me, right? As a grooming studio, right? Like just high end studio where you come, you make your appointment. It's your time. It's just you
your
there.
time.
It's your time. Music, sports, whatever. All good conversation, and you're getting this top notch, amazing experience. And obviously, it was going to be a higher end of price as well. So, but on as I was transitioning out of the barbershop that I was working in, one of the barbers wanted to come along, right? So I was like, man, I wasn't going to do it at first, but they kept asking me about it, and I said, okay, there may be some opportunities in here as well. So I went along with it. So it's 2 chairs in there. I probably have room for one more.
Okay.
We have 2 chairs that are occupied right now, myself and another barber. But I do want to expand. We've been there for 2 years now.
Yeah.
We're actually in our 2-year anniversary. So.
Oh, congrats! Yeah. So when is that? When was it?
It's actually. It was in March, I believe.
Okay.
Probably officially.
You got to have a party. You got to come on. Let's go.
I think when we leave out of here,
Let's go. Confetti.
We can have a party.
Confetti, balloons. Let's go.
Yeah.
I have to look at let me look at my paperwork.
I
Yeah.
Super modest, this guy.
Yeah,
He's had the opportunity to.
Let's go.
One of the things that you left out is the connection to BOCES.
Oh yeah. So
Talk
speaking
a little bit about that.
Yeah.
I would say maybe a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so
a couple of months ago, you had the opportunity to.
Right. So about a month ago, I had an opportunity. I was called and asked if I could come teach or talk to some of the new barbers that were coming up, and looking to go on and get their master license and things like that. So that was really.
They have a program there.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then I was also kind of spoken to about actually coming and teaching as well for the course. So one of the courses
Which I'm
next
rooting
year.
for.
Which
Oh,
I'm
right. Oh, yeah.
So that-
Keep the teacher going.
Yeah, right.
Let's
right,
go.
Exactly. So
Okay.
that also adds another piece on as well.
I mean, it just I just hear just going back to the people. That's all. That's all I keep hearing. I just keep hearing giving.
Just give it.
Yeah.
Just give it. Right.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I'm a big giver. And so that's another piece right there where I think would be great. I would like to do something within E-class, you know what I mean?
Okay.
When I'm teaching actually a system outside
Yeah.
of New
Yeah.
York, where New York
Yeah.
State
Eric's
accredited.
way.
Right.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is the way right here. It worked for me. You know, obviously in terms of making great money, but also, you know, loving the craft, you know, and enjoying the craft, you know,
Yeah.
respecting it as a profession and not a hustle, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
totally.
And again, taking care of people, you know what I mean. That is the main thing. So that's the direction that E-class wants
Okay.
to go into, you know.
Okay. That's so basically. I mean, you know, I don't know how exactly the verse in the Bible goes, but you want to teach them how to fish, you know.
Teach them how to
Yes.
fish.
Just teach them how to fish.
Yeah. Teach 'em
how to
That's
fish.
that's
Yeah, he's the
huge.
good news barber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that is huge. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So those are some things that we definitely are doing, and you know, I think that is expansion is really
Yeah.
a major thing right now. That I would like to
Yeah.
do for E-class, and then you know we want to venture into some other things also. You know what I mean?
And
Because we
tell them
want
about
to
the men's
travel.
wellness.
Here we
I'm
go.
letting y'all
Okay,
know.
here we
I'm
go.
telling you everything.
What else we got?
Yeah, baby, because sometimes I don't remember all these
So,
things.
through you know, barbering has definitely afforded my husband the opportunity to network with, you know, all sorts of people in different areas of business, whether it's, you know, the wellness side, the therapeutic side, and so they've been dancing around the idea. They've been talking about it of having, you know, a dedication to like a place where you're not only going to just receive a service, but everything under the same umbrella. You're going to get your prostate checked. You're going to check in and maybe you know, sit in a session. You know, maybe you need to work through some things. You know, maybe there's another end that's working with how to start a business or getting those. So just really something that takes care of like the whole, you know, on a bigger scale.
Absolutely.
And I've been ear hustling.
I mean,
you know, I've been listening and like, oh, what are they talking about?
Okay.
Yeah, I got some really great guys.
definitely.
They're my clients, but again, these guys are like family to us. One is a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
The other one is a therapist in the area. There's actually about two of them, and we all kind of been like just dancing around, like having this really a nice wellness center for men.
I mean,
to come for anybody for that, man, but men particularly. This one.
Yeah, no, I get it. You know,
to come into and not only get a great service, but like my wife was saying, hey, you might need, you know, counseling session.
And you are the person that you're the conduit. You hear all that, so you're like, hey man, sounds like maybe I can help you up to here, but like you may need this and respect.
All in one building.
Yeah, and to a degree, it's kind of taboo for people to admit, you know, and especially being like a man, and it's like, well, but really, no, everybody needs it, and it doesn't mean that you know, maybe you're in a bad situation, or maybe you just, you know, need somebody to talk to, you know, every now and again.
Absolutely. You know, that's
everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through it.
And speaking of the taboo part, right? Because again, I'm the everybody guy. I don't care about color, race, none of that stuff. I don't know. But honestly speaking, I mean, statistics show that even in the black community,
man,
that is very taboo. But it's a cultural
me and John
thing.
have already talked. We've already discussed it.
It's like, you know, the grandparents years ago, they're like, I don't need nobody to tell. I just go to church.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that church is not good. Just don't. Sorry, y'all. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but sometimes you know you need to go sit down and talk to a professional. And you need to really talk through some things because there's some trauma there. There's some other things there that we need to deal with, and it's very, very taboo in our community, you know, in particular. There's a lot of people walking around and be like, man, why do they do this? Why do they do that?
Yeah.
Commit crimes, do this. But a lot of times because there's some mental illness going on. There's some mental things going on, some mental issues going on. There's some real deep trauma in there going on. And if you don't get those things, if you don't do the work with those things, you don't get those things checked out, you will find yourself in some issues. And I think those are some things that not really looked. I think they're looked at, but I think that people in my community really don't. It's taboo, right?
Yeah.
It's taboo. It's just like, no, I don't want my boy to know that I'm going over here because I need to talk to somebody. Because I'm hurting. You know what I mean?
They don't want to admit it. I got to be strong. I'm
right.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really all of that.
Yeah.
Is you're hurt, man. You're hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt you. You know what I mean? And those things are really important. So I think those are well known.
Man, that is huge.
Would take away just the need to save face. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you could tell a person, you should probably go and get a checkup, or you should probably go and do this. But taking that away by incorporating everything that you may potentially need in one space, I think definitely not only the support that you would feel in a space like that, going in as a man, just going to get a cut and like, oh, by the way, I'm going upstairs, I got a session, thinking about the community part of that. That would feel like.
And you build the trust with them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yo, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
And then they're like, okay, cool. Sounds. I mean, they'll respect you. They have respect. You've cut their hair for a while, and then it's like, dude, everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through it.
Me myself.
Yeah,
Me, myself.
same.
You know what I mean? It's nothing.
Same.
It's been very helpful, and it's a good thing to do. It's our place where we can go and just, dump a little bit, and be like, okay, cool. And I got my
because
I think it was a little off.
A lot of people feel like I'm alone. Nobody else feels the way I do, or nobody's going through the things that I'm going through, and so they almost feel like it's like they just gotta keep it bottled up because nobody knows what I'm going through. But people do know. Everybody goes through it.
People know.
Everybody. Yeah. Not one person.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay, so that's like the next step of E-Class.
Yeah.
Man.
Absolutely. Man. So,
there's power in partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just the whole thing of community, right? Again, it's like that's been the central theme of this. Is just community and you trying to follow your dreams, but again, you're finding other people that can help you. Where focus goes, energy flows. So it's gonna happen, right? You're connecting with the right people, and E-Class is just gonna expand off into that. That's incredible. Okay, man.
And then obviously, a lot of different partnerships. My wife and I are doing some things together, and after we clear a few things out of the way. I think that'd be great because we ultimately we want to be on a boat somewhere, man. With a cigar. Out somewhere, man. While things are rolling and things are happening, we can tap in here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're coming on that end of our lives.
But that's okay. I mean, how many people are you gonna take with bring up and people can call it selfish or greed or whatever. But it's like what? But I touched all these people's lives, and I kind of want to relax too.
Yeah, that's right. And not retire because we don't believe in retirement. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We like to work.
We
love to create.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean? Like I don't believe in that. Like let's just
we'll
keep
turn
going.
the living room into the office in a minute.
You always have a laptop or a phone with you.
That's right.
Making
Paper
connections.
pen.
I love it too. I love that.
As long as you're healthy,
I love that.
as long as you're healthy, keep moving as much as you can. Just keep moving. Keep working.
Man.
Keep working. Yeah.
That's
mission.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's the mission.
It's the mission.
Staying with it.
Staying with it, man. So,
great.
Yeah,
well, I can't thank you two enough for coming in today. It's been very special.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
we're more than excited to be here. I'm super happy to have met you. I'm so glad you came in, man, in the shop and And like I said, the energy was great. You know what I mean? I was just
Yeah.
I was
You
like,
weren't
okay.
the inspector.
Yeah. After
you weren't
that,
expected.
then
You know
the
what I mean?
walls come down.
Yeah, the walls. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was cool. But you made it real. You know, it was cool. And I felt like I was like, okay, I can just be me. You know, even
Man.
before, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh man, this is gonna be great.
So glad, Eric.
Yeah.
So
I'm so
moving
glad.
forward.
Well,
thank you
hey.
for allowing me to. You know, so
I
being
mean,
okay for my wife to
well, I
come
mean,
on.
you probably wouldn't be here, you know.
Absolutely. She's a big
Man, I
part,
love it.
Yeah.
big part of it all. So appreciate you. Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, really
Yeah.
appreciate
Hey,
you, man.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And
nice to
Tiffany,
meet you.
pleasure to meet
Pleasure to
y'all.
meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.